Guys, so it's Sunday and I'm doing my weekly video to give you guys some stocks to watch this week. Last week was an absolute banger. If you were following along with any of the support and resistance lines I was drawing, if you got lows, you got paid. Lows, the support line I drew up last week was 197.50. That breakdown actually tanked. Looked like the retail numbers were priced in off of this run up when Home Depot did earnings. So the retail numbers were great, but they were pretty much priced in. So you saw a lot of stocks falling and selling off after the report. So lows, the puts side was amazing. The Walmart side, I was looking for calls off of this little breakout here, and it went from 140 or 139 that we were calling out, that 140 break. I was looking for this nice fill up to 141 to 142.70, and it actually exceeded expectations all the way almost to 145. Walmart was great. Lowe's was great. Goldman Sachs was great. It was signaling some of these puts below this break. This break projected this higher resistance line. So if you got into this call side, you made a quick dollar on the $3 jump. And then below this 363 I was telling you about would fall right down to this recent low. Completely bounced off it twice. So if you caught the put side of this, you made a lot more money than the call side, but both sides worked out really well. Goldman Sachs, Walmart, then we had SE signaled that it had earnings and it was going to break out of this downtrend channel because it reverses very fast. And it did exactly that, jumping $50. Flew right through all of my support or my resistance lines I was drawing up last week. So if you got onto this one, you got absolutely paid. And then Square was saying it was going to have a pretty rough week. I wasn't very confident in the week ahead with all the crypto stuff going on. It was pretty flat. It's been really consolidating in this range from 192 to like 210, which actually kicks off this week. So I'm actually looking at Square. It's not my most convincing stock this week, but I really do like this one on the watch list this week. I'm going to see anything below 200. It could get pretty ugly. We got 192 mark. If it breaks down below this 192, we're going to see some pretty red days for Square to come. It'll fall through this support line and try and look for its next support down. It looks kind of like a head and shoulders we got going on over here, but not exactly. It's just been rocking around in this range. And like I said, tech sector has been kind of getting sold off, and Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies are getting destroyed. So I'm assuming Square will probably open up down tomorrow if Bitcoin continues to crash. But anything below this 192 mark, I would get in some puts because it's going to get really ugly. And if we can break above this 210 mark, I would buy some calls. I'm actually in long-term calls right now. We bought them last week. I'm in 220 calls for July, but I have some short-term $200 puts that expire in June for a nice little hedge to make money on the downside. And then once it finds its support line, I'll sell those puts for profit. And then I'm going to buy another call for July. And, you guessed it, make more money on the way up and double the money with a lower cost average. But anyway, so Square's on the watch list now. The $200 break down or up is pretty big. Calls for 210, puts for 192 break below. Definitely going to look back into SE. It's getting pretty overextended right now, and it likes to go up crazy and then to sell off a little bit and, create a bull flag before making a higher run up. But I'm looking at SE above 250, I'm up. I'm in calls above 250. It could break out here and start making its way back to this 277 mark. But pretty short-term bearish on this one. It usually does have these crazy run-ups, and then it'll come down again. It's a pretty volatile stock, but once it's going one way, you can't stop it. It's an absolute beast, and its earnings reports were amazing. So anything above 250, I'll probably be buying 250 weekly calls and riding up for some, maybe 259. I could see it touching 259 if it does. This doji candle ends up going bullish, and anything below this 242, I'm going to be in some puts and probably ride them all the way down to like 230, 235. Could be a nice drop below 242, and it could be a great call above 250. So 250, I'm saying calls on SE. There's gonna be a lot of movement in this one this week, and 242.75 on the breakdown on the downside. That's great. And then Nvidia earnings this week, stock split announcement. Absolutely loving this movement this week. I'm gonna see $600 test. Got a lot of lines on this one. I like $600 right here. This is gonna be my tell-all of everything. Also, big market trend is the gap fill. So we got to be careful of the gap fill here on Nvidia. Could be a sell the news event, and it could be sold off after that big gap up heading into earnings. But I feel like earnings are going to be absolutely killer. They're announcing a stock split, so there's a lot of optimism for the future in this stock. A lot more people are going to be able to afford it. But below 600, depending on where it opens up tomorrow, it looks like futures are a little green right now. I'm going to see from 600 all the way down to 591. So $600 breakdown. I'm going to hop in some puts if it can get to this 592 level. This 592 level will instantly take it down to 587 and test that mark and then fill the gap. So this gap is what I'm really looking for, this 587, 588 range. That's the gap on Nvidia. and anything above this 610 mark. If I can see 610, I'm in calls. And if I see this 592.50 or 593, I'm going to probably buy some puts to ride them all the way down to 587. Make a quick buck on the weekly charts. But this one's going to be moving with their earnings on Wednesday. Be pretty expensive, and the implied volatility percentage is going to be crazy. But either way, this is a huge mover this week. And on either side, if you're on the right side, you're going to make good money. And that's 592 for puts and 610 for calls. Got Nvidia, SE, we got Square, and I also love seeing Costco this week. It's a pretty cheap play. It's pretty safe as well, but I'm looking for some movement this week above 386, and I'm also looking for some puts below 376. So it's chilling at 380. It closed at 380. It's below its VWAP. They have earnings on Thursday. That's why I'm looking at this, and I have a feeling that this is going to be similar to Lowe's, and that might be priced in. So 375 puts could pay you out pretty well. But any bullish call flow in the market going up, this 386 mark could go for another leg up to its all-time high. I don't see it going to 400, but then again, I could be wrong. If there's a lot of bullish sentiment at this 386.50 mark, I would get in some calls and ride them up until it's just at a trailing stop, so you don't end up losing any money if it breaks through this resistance line. And then 376 drop, I'll be in puts if it breaks below this 376 mark, because like I said, if it sells off just like Lowe's did, you're gonna make a lot of money. And then one safe play for the week, we got Dollar General. Dollar General is a consumer staple. A lot of people were moving all their money into value stocks. That's why you see this humongous jump up, some bull flag here, and then a breakout above all-time highs. Tried to make a form a cup and handle to break out higher, didn't do so well. And now it's in a nice downtrend right here, and it's kind of consolidating. So I'm looking for some call side. I'm looking for some call side at Dollar General, especially with inflation going up and the economy recovering. I feel like there's going to be a lot of buyers out there, and they're going to be pushed into this market. I'm looking at this $200 range right here. If it breaks below this 201.75, it's going down. And if it breaks below 200, it's going down even more. So $200, 201.75, I would look to buy some puts here and then ride them at 200, maybe start scaling out around 200. And then if it breaks below 200, I'll let the rest of them ride for some extra profit on the downside. But to break above this, it looks like it's consolidating, so it could actually end up turning around when they have earnings. So above this 208 mark, I'm going to be buying some calls and hopefully can ride them up to this gap of 212. So good pay. It's a very safe stock. Dollar General is a great consumer staple. Buy whatever expirations you're comfortable holding, and then my parameters are always minus 15% loss. I'm out, and plus 25%. I start trimming my position, and I let them ride for profit. And then if anything, I don't get too greedy. So I hope you guys were following these the last couple of weeks, because the call outs have bance on point. All the resistance support lines, if you just pay attention to these, all the analysis is there, and a lot of these indicators and support and resistance lines will make you some good money if you're in and out and you're quick day trading them, or just buying them for the weekly haul. Or if you want to protect yourself from theta, you could also buy some longer term contracts and just profit off them without worrying about theta eating you up. But anyways, that's my watch list for the week. We got Costco, we got SE, we got Square, we got Dollar General, and we have Nvidia. It's going to be a big one with the stock split announcement and their earnings this week on Wednesday. It's going to be a big mover. It's going to be a great week. So hopefully you guys can hop in some of these, and let's make some money this week.